Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, in today's lecture, we will be discussing interaction between sex and heredity. And in our today's lecture, we'll cover four topics: sex influenced and sex limited characteristics, and then cytoplasmic inheritance, genetic maternal effect, and the genomic imprinting. So, before starting today's lecture, I just want to remind two concepts of genetics, which are penetrance and expressivity, which we have already covered in our previous lectures. So, for some characters, the genotype does not always produce the expected phenotype, and this phenomena is termed as the incomplete penetrance. So incomplete penetrance is seen in human polydactyly. That is a condition in which the individuals are having extra fingers and toes. So there are several forms of human polydactyly, but the trait is usually caused by a dominant allele. And you already know that what is meant by a dominant allele. So occasionally people are possessing the allele for polydactyly because it is evident from the presence of the trait in their children, but they are not having the extra finger, and they are having normal number of fingers and toes. So in these cases, the gene for polydactyly is not fully penetrant. So when allele is present but it is not causing the condition, then it is said to be not fully penetrant. So penetrance can be defined as the percentage of individual organisms having a particular genotype that express the expected phenotype. For example, as in the case of polydactyly, if we have 42 people, 42 individuals who are having the allele of polydactyly, and only 38 of them are polydactylous, and these 38 are having extra fingers on toes and hands, then the penetrance would be 38 divided by 42, and it is equal to 0.9. When we will multiply this zero point 0.9 with 100, so we will get 90. So 90% individuals are having the polydactylous condition, but remaining 10% have the allele but they do not have the condition. So a similar concept, that is known as expressivity, is present, and expressivity is the degree to which a character is expressed. Expressivity is the degree to which a characteristic is expressed. So in addition to incomplete penetrance, polydactyly also exhibit variable expressivity. Variable expressivity. So some polydactylous persons possess extra fingers and toes that are fully functional, whereas other possess only a small tag of extra skin. So there is a difference between the expression, and there is a large phenotypic variability even within the same family. So incomplete penetrance and variable expressivity are due to the effects of other genes, there might be other genes that are having effect on the expression of this phenotype, and also some environmental factors that may be involved in causing the variability in the phenotype. So these two factors, they can alter or completely suppress the effect of a particular gene. So now we know that there are very intricate and complex procedures which are involved in causing a phenotype. Even if a gene is present and it is showing its effect in some individuals, but because of some other genes effects or some environmental factors, that the same mutant gene is not being expressed in other individuals. So a large phenotypic variability is seen in the cases where greater phenotypic variability is present even within the same family. One individual is having the trait, but the other individual is not having the trait, or it is having the trait in some variable form. So next is sex influenced characteristics are determined by autosomal genes and are inherited according to Mendel's principles, but they are expressed differently in males and females. Genes are autosomal, they are inherited according to the Mendel's principle, but their expression is different in both males and females. So, in this case, a particular trait is more readily expressed in one sex. In other words, the trait has higher penetrance in one of the genders. And for the sex influenced traits, we have the example of beard in some goats. You people may have seen the goats with beard, and this trait is determined by an autosomal gene which will be represented by capital B, small b. So that is dominant in males, but the same gene is recessive in females. So how complex is the genetic system? The same allele is dominant in one gender and the same allele is recessive in the other gender. So if B plus capital B small b capital B small b genotype is present, then male will be bearded and heterozygous males will also be bearded. But when B plus allele is present, males will become beardless. And the totally reverse situation is in the females. When capital capital B small b is present, females will be bearded. But when B plus allele is present, and in the case of heterozygotes also, females will be beardless. So if a cross is made between pure breeds, male is B plus and has no beard, and the female goat is having the beard and its genotype is capital B small b capital B small b. So after meiosis, when gametes are formed and then fertilization takes place, in the F1 generation, all the individuals are heterozygous. But this F1 generation is genetically heterozygous, but their phenotype is dependent on their gender also. So in the case of males, heterozygotes have the beard with genotype B plus BB, and in the case of females, genotype is same but they are beardless. So when F1 generation is crossed, then in the F2 generation, all four forms of phenotypes are expressed, and 3 by 4 of the males are bearded, whereas 1 by 4 of the females are bearded. So now we know, because we know that this gene is dominant in males and recessive in females, so we can easily work out which genotype has the beard and which genotype does not has the beard. So there are three genotypes, and for these three genotypes, in males and females, there are different phenotypes. So next example of sex influenced trait is pattern baldness in males. In humans, hairs are lost prematurely from the front and top of the head in pattern baldness, as it is very clear in these pictures that hairs are lost from the head, and in some individuals from the top there are no hairs. So pattern baldness is an autosomal character, and it is believed to be the dominant in males and recessive in females. Just like the beard in goats, this characteristics is recessive in females. So pattern baldness is expressed weakly in women. Those with the trait usually have only a mild thinning of the hair. It means that this gene is not fully penetrant in the case of females. So whereas men frequently lose all the hair on top of the head. So next is sex limited characteristics. An extreme example of the sex influenced inheritance, a sex limited characteristic, is encoded by an autosomal gene that are expressed in only one sex. The trait has zero penetrance in other sex. Zero penetrance in other sex. So in domestic chickens, for example, some males display a plumage pattern called the cock feathering, and in some other males and all the females, a pattern called hen feathering is present. So cock feathering is a character that is autosomal recessive trait, and it is sex limited to males. So genotypes of males and females are same, but phenotypes are different. So for example, if capital H allele is present in males, pattern will be hen feathering, and similarly in females pattern will be hen feathering. And heterozygotes are also having the hen feathering in males and females. But when this allele is recessively present, homozygously present recessive allele, it causes cock feathering in males, but this gene is not fully expressed in females, and even in the presence of homozygous recessive alleles, in females hen feathering will be present. Hope the things are clear. So as you can see in the figure, this is the cock feathering, and it has the genotype small h. But in the case of capital H and heterozygotes, hen feathering is present, and this is a female hen, and in this third option it is male but having hen feathering, and its genotype is also just like the females. So another example is of precocious puberty. Precocious puberty is also a sex limited characteristic in humans, and it is limited to males. So it is a rare condition, and mostly heterozygous males are found. So there are several types of precocious puberty in humans, and most of which are not genetic. Male limited precocious puberty, however, results from an autosomal dominant allele capital P, and that is expressed only in males. Females with this gene are normal in phenotype. The females, even if they are having the capital P allele, there will be no problem in those females, and they are just normal females. So males with precocious puberty undergo puberty at a very early age, and usually before the age of 4 years. So at this time, the penis enlarges and the voice deepens and pubic hairs are developed. So there is no impaired method of sexual function also, and affected males are fully fertile. So most affected males are short as adult because the long bones stop growing after the puberty. So this is a rare condition, and therefore there is no capital P allele. And as we have already discussed, when the alleles are rare, then mostly heterozygotes are present. So if in the parental generation a heterozygous male having the precocious puberty mates with a female with normal puberty, in the F1 generation, half of the sons have precocious puberty, but no daughters have the precocious puberty. And if in the second option, if a homozygous male mates with heterozygous female, then similar condition will arise. Half of the males are with precocious puberty, and half of the males are with the normal puberty. So both males and females can transmit this sex limited trait, but is expressed only in the females. So this is also a sex limited trait, and it is only present in males. And if females are possessing this allele, they will be normal females, and there will be no precocious puberty in females. And molecular studies regarding this genetic defect in males, which is limited to males, is attributed to receptors for luteinizing hormone. So this hormone normally attaches to receptors that are found on certain cells of the testes and stimulate these cells to produce testosterone. And testosterone is a hormone which is required for male character to develop. And during normal puberty in males, high levels of luteinizing hormone stimulate the increased production of testosterone, and which then in turn stimulates the anatomical and physiological changes associated with the puberty. And capital P allele for precocious puberty is coding for a defective LH receptor, which stimulates testosterone production even in the absence of LH. Normally, LH first binds to the LH receptor, but when a mutation is present in the LH receptor, that LH receptor is stimulating the production of testosterone even without the presence of luteinizing hormone. So boys with this allele produce very high levels of testosterone at an early age when levels of LH are very low. LH is very low, but because of the presence of mutation in the LH receptor gene, the protein product of LH receptor gene is continuing to stimulate the production of testosterone, and that testosterone then is enhancing the male character even before the age of 4 years. So it's a very dangerous situation. So in females, additional hormones are required along with the mutant LH to induce very early onset of puberty in girls. So because of the requirement of additional hormones, mutations in the LH receptor gene causing the precocious puberty are not expressed in the females. So next is cytoplasmic inheritance. Note that there are different types of patterns of inheritance. We have already discussed in our previous lectures. So one of them is the cytoplasmic inheritance. So not all the genetic material of a cell is found in the nucleus. Some characteristics are encoded by the genes located in the cytoplasm, and these characteristics exhibit cytoplasmic inheritance. And this cytoplasmic inheritance is coming from the mitochondria in the case of humans and many other animals, whereas in the case of plants, chloroplast DNA is also present. A few organelles, notably chloroplast and mitochondria, they are having DNA. So each human mitochondrion contains about 15,000 nucleotides of the DNA, and they are encoding 37 genes. And if we compare this DNA with the nuclear DNA, so which contains 3 billion bases, 3 billion nucleotides, and they are encoding approximately 35,000 genes. So the amount of mitochondrial DNA is very small. Even then, mitochondrial and chloroplast genes are encoding some important characteristics, and they are encoding electron transport chain components that is responsible for creating high energy molecules that are ATPs, and these ATPs are used during different processes of the cell. So Now coming towards the example of cytoplasmic inheritance, and this example is of Mirabilis gillapa. It is a 4 o'clock plant, and this 4 o'clock plant has three different phenotypes. Some plants are white, green, and some are variegated. So if a cross is made between seeds in the females and pollens from different plant, so when the crosses are made, when white plant seeds are coming from the female side and pollens are coming from either of the three sides, we can clearly see that maternal phenotype is being expressed. Maternal seed is white on white branch, and regardless of the parental pollen from the male side, phenotype is white, white, and white. And similarly, when green branch is present, so phenotype is determined from the female side. But in the case of variegated branch, we are getting three different phenotypes. When pollens are coming from the white branch and seed is coming from the variegated branch, all three are phenotypes are obtained. And similarly, when pollen is coming from green and pollen is coming from variegated, all three phenotypes are obtained. So this means that when white branch is contributing the egg, then this egg is containing only those those chloroplasts which are having only genes for the expression of white branches, white phenotype. And similarly, when egg is coming from the green branch and pollen is coming from either of the phenotype, these eggs coming from the green branch are having the genes that are responsible for the green phenotype. And in the third case, when all three phenotypes are present, it means that in the eggs there are, when white phenotype is exhibited, in this case eggs are having only those chloroplasts which do not have the green pigment. And in the case of green phenotype, eggs have all the chloroplast organelles which are having the functional chlorophyll allele. And in the case of variegated, there is a mixture of all the chloroplast. So three different phenotypes are possible in the case of variegated. So in all these cases, phenotype of the individual is determined by the chloroplast or mitochondrial DNA present in the eggs. So cytoplasmic inheritance in the case of humans. So in recent years, a number of different human diseases that are mostly rare have been identified, which are cytoplasmic. These disorders arise from mutations in the mitochondrial DNA, and most of which occur in genes coding for the components of electron transport chain, and which generates most of the ATPs, and ATPs are energy rich compounds, and this is done in an aerobic cellular respiration. So one such disease in humans is Leber hereditary optic neuropathy, and the patients who are having this disorder experience very rapid loss of vision in both eyes, resulting from the death of cells in the optic nerve. So the loss of vision typically is taking place in early adulthood and usually between the age of 20 and 24. So in early 20s, this disease is occurring, Leber hereditary optic neuropathy. And severity of the disease, even within the same family, is much higher. And this is just like the phenotypic variability which is observed in the case of polydactyly. So even the same mutation is causing different phenotypes and different levels of disease severity even in the same family and siblings of the same family. So next is genetic maternal effect. So this is a phenomena in which the phenotype of the offspring is determined by the genotype of the mother. The genotype of the mother is important. Genotype of the mother is determining the phenotype of the progeny. So we already know that the cytoplasmic inheritance, in the cytoplasmic inheritance, the genes for a characteristic are inherited from one parent, usually the mother. But in the genetic maternal effects, the genes are inherited from both parents, but the offspring's phenotype is determined not only by its own genotype but by the genotype of the mother. Genotype of the mother is important in determining the phenotype of the progeny. So genetic maternal effect frequently arises when substances present in the cytoplasm of the egg that are encoded by the mother's genes are pivotal, crucial, or very important in the early development. So this is also a very important concept, please keep in mind. So an excellent example of this genetic maternal effect is the shell coiling in a snail, Limnia peregra. Limnia peregra. This is a snail. And in most snails of this species, the shell coils to the right, which is termed as the dextral coiling. Right-handed coiling is the dextral coiling. However, some snails possess a left coiling shell exhibiting sinistral coiling. Sinistral is left coiling. So the direction of the coiling is determined by a pair of alleles. The alleles for dextral is small s plus, and this is dominant over the allele for sinistral, that is small s. However, the direction of coiling is determined not by that snail's own genotype but by the genotype of its mother. So we will look at the genotype of the mother to see that which phenotype is will be present in the progeny. So the direction of coiling is affected by the way in which the cytoplasm divides soon after fertilization, which in turn is determined by a substance produced by the mother and passed to the offsprings in the cytoplasm of the egg. So in this figure, we can see that when in the parental generation, dextral male is crossed with sinistral female, in the F1 generation, all the snails are sinistral. Although they are having S plus allele, that is dominant allele, but all the individuals are having sinistral because genotype of the mother is small s. So similarly, when this F1 generation is self-crossed, in the F2 generation, all the individuals are having dextral phenotype. And this dextral phenotype is because in the F1 generation, mother is having S plus allele, and S plus allele is a dominant allele. So therefore, in genetic maternal effect, genotype of the mother is deciding the phenotype of the progeny. So next and last topic of today's discussion is genomic imprinting. The results of recent studies have identified several mammalian genes whose expression is significantly affected by their parental origin. So the differential expression of genetic material depending on whether it is inherited from the male or female parent, and this is known as genomic imprinting. So example of genomic imprinting is IGF2 allele in mice. So allele transmitted from male parent is expressed. If IGF allele is transmitted from male parent, then it will be expressed in the progeny, but this allele transmitted from the female mother parent is not expressed. So genomic imprinting has been implicated in several human disorders also, and one such example is Prader-Willi, and another example is Angelman syndrome. So Prader-Willi syndrome is the phenotype when inherited from the father, and Angelman syndrome phenotype will be present if inherited from the mother side. So in the Prader-Willi syndrome, children have small hands and feet, short stature, poor sexual development, mental retardation, and they develop voracious appetites and frequently become obese. So many persons with Prader-Willi syndrome are missing a small region of chromosome 15 called Q11 to Q13. As in this figure, you can see that a part of chromosome 15 is being deleted, and after the deletion, this shorter chromosome is present. And when this deletion is inherited from the father side, then the phenotype will be of the Prader-Willi syndrome. So the deletion of this region is always inherited from the father in person with Prader-Willi syndrome. The deletion of Q1113, Q is the large arm of the chromosome 15, and can also be inherited from the mother, but this inheritance results in a completely different set of symptoms producing Angelman syndrome. So this is today's end of today's lecture. So hope everything will be clear. So even if you have any question, you can ask in the online question answer session. Thank you.